Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine being a child who doesn't fit in. You don't have many friends. People don't understand you, and every day feels like a battle just to exist. That was the reality of Elon Musk. Before the billions, before the fame, before the rockets and electric cars, there was a boy who was bullied, beaten, and almost broken by the world around him. He grew up in South Africa, and life there wasn't easy. At school, he was constantly targeted. Not because he was weak, but because he was different. He loved books more than people. He was quiet, curious, always thinking. And in a world where being different makes you a target, he paid the price. One day, the bullying went too far. A group of boys attacked him, pushed him down a staircase, and beat him so badly, he ended up in the hospital. That moment could have broken him, but instead, it built something inside him, something powerful, something unstoppable. While other kids were playing outside, he was reading, not just normal books. He read everything: science fiction, philosophy, technology. By the time he was a teenager, he had read so many books that he had already started building a different kind of mind. A mind that didn't just accept the world as it is, but questioned it. What if things could be better? What if we could go beyond this? What if humans could become more? At just 12 years old, he created and sold his first video game. Think about that. While most kids were still figuring out school, he was already building, already creating, already thinking differently. But life didn't suddenly become easy. He knew if he wanted a bigger future, he had to leave everything behind. So he moved from South Africa to Canada and eventually to the United States. Not with money, not with connections, just with belief. In America, he didn't live like a future billionaire. He struggled. At one point, he and his brother lived in a small apartment, turning it into a nightclub. At night just to pay rent. They had almost nothing, but what they did have was vision. He started his first company, Zip2. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't famous. It was just a small idea, trying to survive. He coded day and night, slept in the office, showered at public places. He gave everything he had, and eventually, it worked. The company was sold for millions. For most people, that would be enough. That would be the end. But for Elon Musk, it was just the beginning. He took that money, and instead of relaxing, he risked it all again. He started another company. That company later became what we know today as PayPal. But even that journey wasn't smooth. He was pushed out, fired from his own company. Imagine that. You build something, and then you're removed from it. Most people would give up. Most people would say, "I've tried enough." But not him, because Elon Musk doesn't think like most people. He doesn't chase comfort. He chases impact. After PayPal was sold, he had something most people dream of: hundreds of millions of dollars. He could have retired, lived a comfortable life, stayed safe. But instead, he did something crazy. He invested almost everything into ideas that most people thought were impossible. He started SpaceX, a company that wanted to send rockets into space. Private rockets. People laughed. Experts said it would fail. And then, it did. The first rocket exploded. Then the second. Then the third. Failure after failure after failure. Money was running out. Critics were everywhere. The media was watching, waiting for him to collapse. At the same time, he was also building Tesla, an electric car company, at a time when nobody believed electric cars could work. That company was also struggling, losing money, close to bankruptcy. Everything was falling apart. At the same time, SpaceX was failing. Tesla was failing. His money was almost gone. He was on the edge of losing everything. Imagine being in that position. Everything you built. But here's something most people don't understand. Success doesn't remove pressure. It multiplies it. After surviving near bankruptcy, after finally seeing Tesla and SpaceX breathe again, you would think life became easier for Elon Musk. But it didn't. It became harder. Because now, It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving the world wrong. Tesla wasn't just a company. It was a statement, a challenge to an entire industry. Gas-powered cars had ruled the world for over a century. And here comes one man, saying, "We're going to change everything." People didn't just doubt him. They attacked him. Critics called Tesla a joke. Investors said it was overvalued. Experts claimed electric cars would never dominate. And deep down, even as he pushed forward, there were moments where the pressure felt unbearable. Imagine lying awake at night, knowing that thousands of employees depend on you, knowing that one wrong decision could destroy everything. That was his reality. Every single day, there were times when Tesla was weeks away from collapse. Not months, not years, weeks. Production problems, supply issues, financial stress, everything hitting at once. He once described it as production hell, sleeping on factory floors, working 100+ hours a week, barely eating, barely resting, not because he had to, but because he refused to fail. And here's where the story gets deeper, because success is not just about business. It's also about what you sacrifice. While building empires, his personal life struggled. Relationships became difficult. Time disappeared. Balance didn't exist. Because when you chase something big, you don't just give effort, you give your life. And most people are not ready for that truth. But Elon Musk was. Now let's go back for a second to one of the most defining moments of his life. The third SpaceX failure. 3 rockets. 3 explosions.
Millions gone.
Reputation damaged. Confidence shaken. At that point, he had enough money for one last launch. Just one. Think about that. Your entire dream, depending on one final attempt. If it failed, everything would be over.
No SpaceX.
No future missions.
No comeback.
That kind of pressure breaks people. But instead of fear, he chose focus. Engineers worked day and night. No room for mistakes. No second chances. And then, the day came. The rocket launched. Seconds felt like hours. He watched, not as a billionaire, but as a man who had risked everything. And for the first time, it didn't explode. It worked. That moment changed history, because sometimes success is not about winning every time. It's about refusing to quit until you win once. And that one win can change everything. After that, NASA trusted SpaceX. Contracts followed. Funding followed. Growth followed. But even then, the journey didn't slow down. Because Elon Musk doesn't think in small goals. He doesn't think about just building companies. He thinks about the future of humanity.
Colonizing Mars.
Reducing global warming. Advancing artificial intelligence. These are not normal goals. These are impossible goals. And yet, he treats them as necessary. That's what makes him different. He doesn't ask, "Is this easy?" He asks, "Is this important?" And if the answer is yes, he goes all in. Now pause for a moment and think about your own life. How many times have you stopped because something felt too hard? How many dreams have you abandoned because the road wasn't smooth? Because here's the truth. The road is never smooth. Every successful person you admire walked through chaos, but they kept going. Elon Musk once said something powerful. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Think about that. Failure is not the enemy. It's part of the process. And that's where most people get it wrong. They fear failure so much that they never start, or they quit too early. But what if failure is not stopping you, but shaping you? What if every setback is preparing you for something greater? Because that's exactly what happened in his life. Every failure made him stronger. Every setback made him smarter. Every doubt made him more determined. And slowly, step by step, he didn't just build companies. He built a legacy. Tesla became a global force. Electric vehicles became mainstream. SpaceX started landing rockets. Something that was once impossible became reality. And the world began to see that crazy ideas are only crazy until they work. But here's the final truth, and listen carefully. Elon Musk is not successful because he is special. He is successful because he refused to think small. He refused to quit. He refused to let fear win. And that's something anyone can learn. Because right now, you might not have billions. You might not have resources. You might not have support. But you have something powerful. You have a choice to keep going or to stop, to believe or to doubt, to act or to wait. And that choice will define your future, because one day you will look back at your life and you will either say, I tried and I kept going, or I gave up too soon. So the question is, which story will you choose? Because the journey to success is not easy, but it is possible. And if a boy who was once bullied, beaten, and underestimated can rise to change the world, then your story is far from over. Don't let your current situation fool you. Don't let your struggles define you. Don't let fear control you. Because greatness does not come from comfort. It comes from pressure, from pain, from persistence. So stand up, push forward, and keep going. Even when it's hard. Even when it's painful. Even when it feels impossible. Because that's exactly where transformation happens. If the story inspired you, then don't stop here. Hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button. Turn on the notification bell. Because the next story might be the one that changes your life forever.